Hey friends, I haven't made a video in a while and my wife took my toddler out for a walk and I have some time to kill. I want to do some work but I don't have time. I don't quite have the right frame of mind or the right, it's just you have like too short a period of time, not quite the right energy to write something substantial, and I could do some sorting but I would feel not that great about it. And I just realized I haven't made a video in a while, so making a video I think would make me feel better. I don't feel terrible. I feel pretty good. In fact, I just crossed $100,000 worth of ebook sales, which is wonderful. Uh, in fact, no, I'm kind of tense. I have many different things going on at the same time, and I would like to relax. Actually, I think I am making the video, and this is part of why I wanted to make a video because it challenges me to see myself, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm so jittery, I'm so high frequency, so kind of okay. It's not stress. Again, I feel like the word stress is overused to describe too many things. And yeah, jittery is probably the right word for how it was. Okay, what's going on now? I've converted my study with my bookshelves and everything. I've converted it into a playroom for my kids. So my computer used to be there. This is a rocking chair that I rock my son to sleep in. I bought it for my wife to breastfeed, but she didn't really like it, and so I ended up using it more. But to rock him to sleep, so it's still for the kid. Uh, there used to be this gray chair here that I would use to make my videos in, and that chair is now in my bedroom, and it's probably not gonna make it to my next house. My next house, I've got a new house. I've bought that took up like a huge amount of like our mental headspace, bandwidth, capacity. Moving house is just a pain in the ass, and we haven't even started moving. We just finding a new place that we liked was very stressful, especially with a toddler. So that was actually stressful. Even when I wasn't jittery, right? I'm just, oh my god, we gotta go look at more houses. We gotta bring our toddler to my mother-in-law's place, and he was smaller back then, so I was a bit more nervous about leaving him somewhere else. Now he's like 17 months now, and so he's running all over the place, and I no longer worry for his safe. So when you're like a newborn, you worry that, I don't know, they might choke or something, or they might, I don't know. The newborns are more fragile. Once they can stand and walk and stuff, they are a bit more. Now the danger is that they'll fall and knock into things, but it's a kind of different flavor of danger. And he's on the cusp of speaking. He's saying a few words here and there, and I really, really look forward to when he can like ask me questions and I can answer them and he can understand. Yeah, I am looking forward to that. Anyway, so we're getting a new house. We finalized a place we're gonna get. It's in Pasir Ris, which is in the east of Singapore. My wife and I, we both grew up in the east of Singapore. She was in Tampines, I was in Bedok, and when we got married, her parents didn't approve of our relationship, so we got married to buy a house so that she had a place of her own. And we wanted, part of the reason we picked the place in Yishun, which is in the north of Singapore, far away from all of our friends and family, was to get away from our families. And it's so strangely like mythopoetic that we've been away from the east for 12 years, which is like, if I remember correctly, it's the same length of time as the exile in either the Mahabharata or the Ramayana. One is 12 years and one is 14 years. I'm not sure which is which, but it's the same kind of length of exile. And I'm probably going to write something very substantial once we have moved about this house that I have been like embarrassed about because it's in such a state of disrepair. You may notice that when I make videos, I don't really show much of my house, and I'm like stick to like these corners, and even then you can see there's like all these, I drilled something in there once and then I did something else. It's just, I'm not proud of this house and I'm eager to get out of it, and I feel kind of bad about that because this house has enabled us to do everything that we do. I probably wouldn't have been able to write my books if I didn't have this house that had like a pretty cheap mortgage, so I don't need to make a lot of money. And my next house is going to have almost double the mortgage, so I'm going to have to work harder. I'm probably going to do more consulting. So if you need a marketing consultant, hit me up. Yeah, new house, haven't moved yet, kids getting bigger. I set up an Instagram for my frame studies Substack slash the frame studies body of work. I'll include the link, you can go and check it out. I'm a bit nervous, I'm a bit excited. I'm nervous that it's gonna fizzle out like a lot of projects, but that's fine if it doesn't, the point is to try, and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I have a pretty decent feeling about it that, I feel like I haven't been on Instagram, I haven't used Instagram well, ever. Like, I started out with my personal Instagram, which is mainly for like friends and family. For friends, I don't really expect my family, but my family does check it out, so whatever. And then my public persona profile on Twitter started blowing up, and I wasn't, so I don't feel comfortable posting like my son's face on my personal Instagram, which is now also my public Instagram, because I don't know who's gonna see it. I don't know who's gonna save the pictures or whatever. And if not now, like in the future maybe. So I don't even use Instagram for personal photos that much. I guess I use like close friends feature on Instagram stories. But it just feels like this inelegant mashup of all of the things in a way that's not well separated. So now I'm looking forward to using the Instagram handle is VV Frame Studies, and I'm looking forward to using that to just develop my sense of expression on that visual medium. Like, so the first couple of images I included a lot of text and quotes, and I think that's not ideal because it's just too much to read. There's some optimal range of information on an image on Instagram that makes it enticing to read. Same for like, there's some optimal YouTube video length, which you can make a very long video, a very short video, but framing is everything. And if it's funnily enough, the Instagram is about framing, my Substack is about framing, and yeah, I do want to. I feel like I have a pretty decent understanding of these things, and I want to get even better at understanding it, even better. What else is there to say? New house, Substacks popping off a little bit. I realized that I used to try too hard to write these polished essays. I probably already have a video about this, but like, my brain is so scatterbrained these days. My brain is so scatterbrained. See? Just parent brain, just not enough sleep. A particular kind of attentional exhaustion that you don't get from anything else. So I've been many different kinds of tired, right? I've been tired from being in the military, where you just kind of have to stay up for, like, you just have a lot of things to do, but your mind can be alive when you're doing that, because you don't get like decision fatigue, because all the decisions are made for you. You don't even have to decide what to eat, and sometimes I have missed that occasionally, where I did some pretty good reading and writing while I was in the military, because my brain had so much excess capacity since all of my decisions were made for me. So like sometimes I fantasize about having like a creative boot camp or something, and I guess you can approximate it by like making some decisions ahead of time, like, okay, I'm going to eat this, but I never got around to it, and now I have a child. So in a sense, yeah, it makes more sense that, again, I think once we move to a new place, we're going to be more mindful and conscientious about instituting routines that work for us, which is going to be pretty big for me, because all my life I hated routines, mainly because I hated the routines that were imposed on me, and by like a contamination or an association, I then overcorrected and hated all routines. But like, if you don't have any routine, then you just have a bad routine of following your impulses or whatever. You end up eating junk, or you end up doing the lowest value work, whatever's immediate rather than whatever's important. So I feel like I've learned some things about that, but I haven't been able to practice my learnings very well, because my environment is kind of shitty, and like, oh man, so many, I don't know if it's dramatic to say years wasted, but like so much time and energy and just so much of myself has been constrained by my house, and I'm just so eager to be done with it. It's like, I guess it's almost like a slightly abusive relationship, or like a very old friendship that you treasure because it's an old friend and you've been there for each other and stuff, but they're just kind of holding you back, or they just kind of don't really understand you, or they don't let you be yourself, and you're still very sad to have to end it, and you wish you could have done better, but it's done, and you know that it's done, and you have to make a decision. Oh, um, my cat Sierra, he's gone. I he was getting I had to put him to sleep. I made the decision to put him to sleep. I brought him to the vet a couple of times, and the vet was like, yeah, he was losing a lot of weight. He was throwing up. He was yowling a lot. He was completely blind. He's starting to have trouble walking. He's probably like 15 years old, and I was very sad about it. I haven't actually said this anywhere online. I haven't tweeted anywhere. I haven't even told many people. I don't know. It felt very personal. Like Sarah was a companion to me for the whole time I was here, and yeah, I cried like a bitch a couple of times. The first time I brought him to the vet, and I realized what had to be done, and then even then we just kind of soldiered on for like a few more weeks, and then I did it, and I cried again. Not as much as the first time though. I feel like making the decision to put him to sleep and say goodbye, like making the decision or realizing that was on the horizon, that was it. Really kind of, I mean, I already kind of knew, and again, like like a year plus that, oh, he's getting old and stuff, but like there's some nuance to the specifics of the really inhabiting the fullness of the realization, I think. And he's gone. And I guess the thing that makes me sad is that he wasn't himself the last year or so. Like, he was not my friend Sierra, but like sick, unwell Sierra, just screaming a lot, and so it was very stressful to be in the house with him. And so when he was gone, like, there was relief, and I felt bad for experiencing relief because he was my friend. And I don't know if I would have been as comfortable with the idea of having kids if I hadn't had him, Sierra, my cat. If I hadn't cared for him for so long and felt kinship with a small creature, and felt, and he did fall sick a couple of times, and my wife and I had to like feed him medicine and clean his wounds and stuff, and doing those things together with my wife convinced me that we would be able to have a kid. So I'm very, very grateful to Sierra, and I have loved that cat more than a lot of people. Yeah, I guess about me wish I could have done more, but like, and again, like, his health was deteriorating at a time where we had a newborn child, and that was just very difficult to manage. And yeah, that's the end of an era. And I associate this house with Sierra as well. Like, his name is in our Wi-Fi, and we're moving, and yeah, it's a lot. I feel like in some ways, leaving this house is moving on from a phase of life that feels almost more dramatic than getting a job. Well, so like in the list of things that are like the most dramatic, so like getting a job, leaving the job to work for myself, publishing my books, getting married, having a child. Like, it's like four-ish things, and then like in that same cluster of things, this house has shaped me so profoundly in a way, and it's the thing that I talk about the least, I think. It's just here, right? It's just the context that I'm in. And every time I go on like a vacation or I go somewhere else and I experience all these perspectives and feelings and whatever, and then I come back to my house and I try to institute whatever I learned, but like it doesn't stick because the house is just shit. and still, I'm very grateful for this house, and I'll be sorry to leave it, I guess. I never made any friends in this neighborhood, and I'm quite proactive about trying to make friends, but this neighborhood just, again, I don't want to say this neighborhood sucks, because that's kind of, it feels like impotent complaining, but this neighborhood does, it did suck. Maybe it's gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets a lot better in the coming years, but I'm done. I can't stay here anymore. But yeah, when we moved here, it's a very old estate. A lot of like very elderly people, people in wheelchairs, and people who only speak Mandarin or dialect, like old Chinese people. And I remember once going to meet a friend. No, I was going somewhere else. I was going to Bedok Reservoir, just in the east, and I bumped into a couple of friends there who are a married couple, and they were both like jogging, and their children there, and dogs, and just this energy of life was just so much livelier. And I feel like in the past decade, I have underestimated the degree to which I am influenced by my social environment and my literal physical environment, because I didn't like either, and I didn't want to face that too much, because I did not feel like I had any power to do much about that given the circumstances. So I kind of numbed myself to that to some degree. And maybe to some degree, I might not have been as extremely online if I had a neighborhood that and a home that I liked more. But I mean, I would still have been very online, just not maybe like 10% less. And what if 10% less makes all the difference in the outcomes that I've had, with my books and so on? I don't know. We'll never know. All right, counterfactuals are what they are. Anyway, this is going on a bit long. If you've bought my books, thank you so much. If you haven't, consider it. It's entirely up to you. That's just where my life is right now. So it's a status update. I never did a video that's like thanks for 5,000 subscribers. I did like 1K, 2K, 3K, 4K, and I didn't do 5K. And now I think I'm gonna be 6K. I'll probably just save it for 10K maybe. I don't know. Once I move to my new place, I'm gonna have a study of my own, and I'm gonna set up like a micro studio thingy, and like I expect to make videos more often then. So see you then. The sun is setting, so lighting is getting darker. Goodbye. Thank you. Good night. Done.